Yo, what is up, guys? Your boy Franklin. It's been pretty cold out here in the streets, but luckily for you, we're gonna get some heat going with the semifinals match of the Pokemon Central BDSP OU tournament, round 3. Technically, now it's the semifinals. Now, the only difference of this round in comparison to the first two rounds that I played in is essentially the semis and finals are gonna be best of 3. So you have to win 2 matches, 2 out of 3 essentially. So let's get right into it. So I'm using, the typical team that I used for the last round, and my opponent, Xander Sherlock, is using more of an offensive, looks like an offensive HO because of Azelf. Offensive, 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 or it could be a defensive backbone. Latios offensive and Gengar offensive. So let's see how this goes. So starting off, I lead off with Rotom Wash because Rotom Wash does pretty well against his team. He gets his Rock Slide, which I don't really care. I go for the T-Wave just to paralyze this so that way there's no speed involved. Volt Switch out of there and go into my Donphan in the attempts to honestly just try to spin these, but obviously I cannot. So I'm going to get my leftovers in. He goes for the Crawdon here. I sack my Donphan. Not really the right play because I wanted to get rid of these rocks, but it doesn't matter because Rotom is still a demon. Rotom is just a menace against his team, so we're going to Volt Switch out of there. That did 19% to a Sizzler, which makes me lead to believe might be a specially defensive Sizzler. And honestly here, I pretty much go for the Calm Mind, expecting the Flamethrower from, the Clefable. I go to my Gliscor here, he goes for the Sludge Bomb, and he actually poisons me on this turn, so I don't have to wait for the activation of Toxic Orb. He goes into a Latios, and I get my Rocks up. Pretty good opportunity to get him up, so that way now I can start pressuring his team. Goes for a Psychic, which makes me believe this is probably going to be Choice Scarf or Soul Dew, because that did absolutely nothing. I go back into my Clef here, as he goes into Scizor, is here. I go for the Flamethrower, predicting him, and now he's at the last 5%, and I get the Lucky Burn here. He goes for a Roost here, and honestly, I'm just going to Calm Mind up because now this Scizor can do absolutely nothing to me since it's burned. He can't Swords Dance up because I am unaware. So you saw that Clefable took that like a boss, and now I'm going to start going for the Calm Mind here. And Clefable is starting to look like a whole threat to his team. So now he gets a crit here, and honestly, I don't really care. I'm going to Calm Mind up again. And it's starting to look pretty bad for my opponent here. He goes for the U-turn here, and I believe on this turn he goes into Crawdon, and I go for the Moonlight. Yeah, I go for the Moonlight here, which is now I'm at full HP. He goes for a Crabhammer, does 72. And honestly, I'm just going to get rid of this Demon here. So Crawdon is not allowed to pressure my Gliscor anymore. He goes into Weavile here. And honestly, he's probably going to kill me right here. Because Weavile was very strong. And it makes me want to believe it is Banded. But looking at his team, like, he is kind of weak to this Crawdon. So I go for the Aqua Jet here, knock out the Scizor. And so now it's down to the last 3 Pokemon. And luckily for us, Latios is pretty damn weak right now. So he can't really be switching in and out of this Pokemon anymore. So now I go into my own Latios, knowing that his special defense dropped. And it's definitely not choiced because now he just activated the Soul Dew, or revealed that he had Soul Dew. So now it's going to come down to the last 2 Pokemon. But Crawdon looks pretty damn good because it could be used as a revenge check to his last 2 Pokemon. So what I do here is I go for the Crawdon, and I'm just going to start Aqua Jetting his team away. So Weavile is gone, and last is not least is the Gengar. I go for the Aqua Jet here, and even if, yeah, he just kills me right there. So even if this was choiced, like Scarf, it wouldn't kill me from full. So I go for the Dragon Pulse and just knock this thing out. It was a pretty close game, 23 turns. And yeah, that was the first game. Now we're going to go on to the second game. So here's the second game here. I switched up my team a little bit for this one because I knew he was going to bring this team based on his previous replays from his previous rounds. So I have here Choice Latios. I believe this is a defensive Scizor, defensive Heatran, defensive Tangrowth. I have Starmie for more. Actually, I think this might be offensive. I don't remember. I don't recall. Offensive Starmie and offensive Garchomp. So let's get right into it. So it goes into Rotom Wash, and I go into my Tangrowth. This obviously is a pretty good Pokemon for me. So I go for the knockoff here because I like enjoying knocking off items turn 1 or early in the battle. That way you don't have to worry about recovery and all that shit. So I go for the Sleep Powder here on the Blissey, and he obviously switches out because it wakes up. And now we get rid of that leftovers off the Rotom, which means no more recovery. It goes for a Volt Switch here, and I click knockoff here again, I believe. No, I go for a Sleep Powder here. And so now I take the opportunity to just knock this off, and that did 20%, which is crazy because Blissey is usually fat, and Tangrowth doesn't have a lot of good attack. So, pretty interesting. He wakes up on turn 1, he gets the rocks up, and I'm like, alright, that's cool. I'm going to Brick on the Scizor, and that did a lot of damage. He's going to go for the U-turn, and he goes into the Rotom Wash. I go for another Brick, and now we're just slowly weakening this Rotom, because weakening Rotom will be very crucial for the Starmie and the Garchomp. He goes for a Will-O-Wisp here, and doesn't really matter too much to me. He goes for Protect. I go for another Sleep Powder because none of his Pokemon are asleep yet. So now he's going to take the opportunity to go for the Volt Switch. And my Tangrowth is kind of annoying against his team. I start realizing that later in the game. So goes for a Seismic Toss here, and I'm like, alright, cool. I go for another Sleeping Powder, and this one actually hits. So now he wakes up because he switches out. He's going to go into Mew. Now I'm going to go into my Starmie here, like a Bosch, and try to get rid of these rocks. He goes into Blissey here. I go for the Rapid Spin, get rid of these bitches. So now I go back into my Scizor here, and he goes for rocks here. And he's going to go into the Rotom Wash. I go for another Brick, and that does 22. So now this Rotom is starting to slowly get chipped away, as he goes for the Volt Switch right there. And now he goes into Starmie here. And honestly, I have my own Starmie. It's actually a bulkier version of... It's a bulkier Starmie, which is why that Ice Beam didn't do too much to me. And he just heads up killing me with the Thunderbolt on the Starmie. So I go to my Garchomp here, take the opportunity to just destroy something here. Goes into Rotom Wash. I go for the Outrage just to get rid of this. And I'm pretty sure he's going to go into Scizor here. Which honestly, I don't know why he didn't go into Mew, because I'm pretty sure this Mew has like Ice Beam or something. So he doesn't know that I am Choice Scarf, which is good. You want to keep that information sealed. He goes for an SD here, and honestly, I'm just going to go to Heatran so I can take the hits from this. He goes into a U-turn here. Doesn't get burned, unfortunately. Heatran is in. I go to my Tangrowth just to sack this off. Then he goes for a Hydro Pump. That's 61 because Starmie is just a demon. And now he's slowly chipping away his Starmie with the Life Orb. But now Garchomp's Scarf looks pretty good. I can click Earthquake here several times. So he goes into his own Garchomp. That one does 52, so I risk the calculation here, and I kill his Garchomp, which is awesome. Now he goes into the Mew. I'm going to keep this Garchomp going to my Heatran. That way it doesn't become a problem. And I believe I take the opportunity to get these rocks up, of course. And now I go for the Taunt because I don't want this Blissey getting any recovery or doing any shenanigans. And I go for the Magma Storm because now I can just trap this thing, which is awesome. And it's starting to chip away. And without leftovers now, it's doing a lot of damage to his Pokemon. So I'm just destroying this Blissey slowly and surely. The Taunt ends there. I should have honestly clicked Taunt there, but I mean, he didn't even click any non-status moves. So we get rid of the Blissey with the Heatran, which is awesome. He goes into Starmie here. Goes for the T-Bolt here, and that's fine with me because now my Garchomp is looking very, very menacing. So this is where I reveal that it is indeed Scarf. So he goes into the Mew. And now we're down to his last two Pokemon. That Mew took so much, which meant that it probably was offensive. We're able to destroy that. And now we go into our Latios, and I'm pretty sure that's game. So I go for a Thunderbolt here. Crit the Mew, it didn't really matter. Now he goes into his own Scizor. Now I go for a Thunderbolt here, as he just roosts, and I just want to sack this, honestly. But no, I decided to go into my Scizor because I don't want to risk any type of damage calculation. So I go for SD here, as he goes for an SD there. He goes for an SD. I go for an SD, but luckily for me, I do have a Brick, and it crits him. Which honestly, I'm not sure if that really mattered, because it's Brick at +3 is doing over half, and his Bullet Punch isn't going to do too much to me, honestly. And I have my own Bullet Punch as well. So yeah, GG to my opponent. I get lucky, a little bit lucky in the end, but you know, that's just how Pokemon is. So now we are going to the finals. and I can't wait to see who my opponent is. GG's to my opponent, and we're undefeated in the tournament, which is awesome. I always wanted to sweep, so let's see if we can reach the finals and claim the grand prize. See you guys. It's your boy Franklin signing out. Peace.